That cracks me up too. Sometimes people will say, Joe, just get on with it. Just show us what we want. Well, hey, I always give you a little bit more so you can watch and learn. And this is your classroom setting. I'm the teacher, you're the student, right? And so while I'm waiting, speaking of caulking, I didn't use that caulking. I used something else. It had grout caulking with, with grout in a tube like that. And I went around and hit some of these where there were cracks because we're getting ready for the winter. When you get some hairline cracks in this, they start expanding. When you get a little ice in there or water in there and then it freezes overnight, it expands and it makes your joints that much further, and then water gets in there and starts undermining your sand base or whatever base you have under here. This one, we happen to have decomposed granite underneath here as the base, and you leave those cracks too long and then ants find a home down in there and they start building tunnels and stuff, and you get squirrels around here and the birds start pecking around in there and you start getting weeds in there. And so I went ahead and caulked all of it, and it looks pretty good. And the caulking, here's the thing I wanted to tell you, the caulking I used, I tried to get something to match the concrete grout. They don't necessarily have that exact color. I tried to get a light tan color, that didn't work. I got white, that didn't work. I tried to get a beige, off-white. I ended up settling just for something. It was pretty white when I put it down. And I only put it down a couple weeks ago. You can see right in here where I put it, but and it was a lot whiter than that. But see, over time, once the sun hits it and stuff, it just knocks that color down. It almost looks like it's blended in. And I had all kinds of caulking lines here. I can see there's a little bit of white from there over, but that's going to blend in even better. And when you stand back here, you can hardly see it. And a couple more weeks, it's almost going to be perfect, because I tried to get something perfect with the concrete grout. And here's the other thing, even if you could match the grout exactly perfect, it's going to go darker. It's going to go darker later on. See here, I try to get some caulking that almost matched the grout, but then after it sets here and the sun hits it, it starts turning a little bit darker. Can you see that line right there? Right over in there. It just darkens up. And so I thought, phooey on that. I'm going to just go ahead and get the white stuff. And I did. Here's the new caulking lines that I did where the grout had cracked. And you can hardly even tell, and this has only been a couple weeks. There was one over here. It just blended in perfect. And I'm like, wow, look at that. This one here, you can hardly even tell I put any caulking around it. Huh? See there? So that's the tip. If you're going to caulk something like this, this is a slate, natural, rough stone patio. If you're going to caulk something like that, try not to get the exact same color, because eventually your caulking is going to get darker. So see, I even put the white stuff up in here. You can hardly even tell. I put some extra white ones in here. You can't even really tell. I put a little bit right in there. It's lined up almost perfectly now. Okay, so I wasn't really going to talk about this, but I thought I'd just include it. And see, this whole patio used to have joints, and they had put decomposed granite underneath it, 2.5, 3 inches as a base, and then they put this stuff with joints, and then they put decomposed granite in between all of this, and I'm sure it looked really good when it was brand new. Well, we bought this house and it was already 17 years old, and you can just imagine what this thing looked like. And I've got videos of that on my channel. You go to my main YouTube channel page and then click on playlists, and then scroll down to I don't know what I'm going to call it, patio repair or something like that, and you'll see how awful this was. All of these stones here had slid over, and some of the other ones slid down the hill up over in here, and they were all the grout lines. There were no grout lines. All this stuff had slid out to the side. There were weeds coming up through here. Dirt had accumulated down in here, and it just looked awful. And man, I don't know how much time I spent on this. All of these here had all slid down, so there were no gaps, and then there were big gaps up here. So I had to reconfigure this, take them out, level the stuff out there, dig up roots, line these up, cut, break some of these off with a hammer, and all that kind of stuff, and made lines. And I thought, what can I do to fix this? Because I don't want to make this all perfect again, and then put decomposed granite in between all the lines, because the same thing's going to happen. Everything's going to slide down. The squirrels were digging up and hiding their nuts in here, and the California quails were digging up stuff, and ants were coming out of stuff, and it had compromised everything underneath and things. And I thought, I don't want to go through all this again. So I came up with the idea of putting concrete in between these lines. And I was talking to my brother, and he just laughed at me, and he said that's never going to work. All that concrete's going to crack out, and it's never going to set in there. And I used a certain type of concrete mortar stuff in there, different than regular mortar. And son of a gun, it's lasted pretty good. And each summer I go around, and I'll have to go around, and anywhere where there's some hairline cracks, I'll have to caulk it. And I knew I was going to have to do some of that. It's all maintenance. Whenever you have a house, you get maintenance. You have to do all kinds of things, and you'll find all kinds. Anytime I do maintenance around the house, I make videos of it. And yes, I touched every single one of these stones, had to pull each one up, flatten the stuff, get all the roots out, get the dirt out from underneath, and put all this stuff in. It took me forever. And you can find those on my channel. Okay? So enough of that. I've been working on these stairs over here, you know that. And I'm almost getting ready to get back on here to skim over these. See, now the sun's not on here at all, is it? There's the sun over there. I'm going to wait just a little bit longer. I can already feel the chill in the air. Even though it's going to be 75 degrees out, right in here, it's fine. It's probably 65 degrees or 60, because I'm going to be in the shade. And that's perfect. That's going to be perfect for me to put this roofing material on here. I'm going to put it on in the drywall pan. And I've got my knives here, 4 inch, a 6 inch. I doubt I'll use this one, but I might use it for something else. I'm about getting ready to do that. If you want to watch those videos, if you're just tuning in, if you want to watch those videos and how I repaired all this on these stairs are looking good too. You can go to my main YouTube channel page, click on playlist, scroll down to dry rot deck repairs, dry rot deck stair repairs, something like that, and you'll find all the videos that I've done on here, because I want to make sure that these don't leak anymore. And check those videos out. Okay, all right, I'm getting ready to finally get into here, and I'm hoping to put all this on with just one more coat and not have to touch these stairs again until spring. Here we are in October. The snow is going to be falling in a couple months probably, and we're going to get snow on here, we're going to get ice on here, we're going to get rain on here, and I wanted to make sure all the water flows off of this properly. All the water comes down off of these stairs and doesn't go in between the stairs on the inside corners, of the stucco on the wall, the stucco on the stairs right here, because this goes underneath the house. I don't want any water to drip under there, because boy, if it does, you're going to have a dry rot mess on your hands for sure. Go to my YouTube channel, main YouTube channel page, click on playlists, scroll down to dry rot deck repairs, and you'll see all the different things I had to do on here, you'd be shocked and amazed that I was able to save these stairs. I only had to replace the top 2 stairs, and I've refurbished all of these others where this is over 17 years old. That deck section from there over had to be all torn out. All the stuff underneath was all dry rotted. It was a mess. It was a mess, and nobody thought I could fix it on my own. They thought, a lot of people were saying, tear it down, tear it down. You can't fix it. It's be cheaper, be better to do that. Well, no, I didn't really want to do that, and I wanted to do everything myself. I didn't want to have to mess with tearing down these stucco wall columns, deck columns, because this one was dry rotted all the way inside. I had to take all the wood out, all the plywood, OSB plywood in there. It was a mess. Really? How did I get all the way up there? Because the bottom of this is way down here. I had to get way up in there, shimmy up there. Claustrophobic for sure. Yeah, I had to get all the way up in there and fix that. You'll see all that if you go to my playlist and click on dry rot deck repairs. Okay, enough of that. I'm almost ready to skim out these deck stairs. Here's another caulking tip. Yes, another one. When I clean that, between the two, I had to take all that black tar out of there, and the tar had eaten the paint right off, and the primer behind it in a few areas where it was lower than where I was going to caulk. So I just went ahead and used the caulking as my primer and put it on there and kind of wiped it around on the raw metal along there, and just used my finger. And then when that dries, and then I waited for a while, and then I put a second coat over the entire thing and blended everything in. Okay, now after that dries, I can paint it. Had I have left raw metal, I couldn't have just covered it with my regular exterior paint until I put a prime coat on it first, or else the paint could be in jeopardy of lifting off of the raw metal. Does that make sense? Now that's not going to happen because I caulked it first, just in that one area. Okay, ready to go.